The T-72B3 is the latest version of the Soviet and later Russian T-72. The vehicle has been a showcase piece in the tank biathlon. While this version of the vehicle is still relatively new, it has seen combat previous to the Russo-Ukrainian War, in Syria, and in Ukraine during the Donbass War.
All over the world, the eyes of the world at the moment are on Debaltseve, and they're likely to stay in Debaltseve. There's no sign of any ceasefire here, there's only every sign.
The three primary features that the T-72B3 has that differentiates it from other T-72s and Steel Beasts are: the vehicle has a thermal imaging sight, the vehicle has a gun-launched ATGM capability, and lastly, the vehicle's ballistic computer has an auto tracker and an automatic lead system. The T-72B3 has two optics that are new from the T-72A. These are the day sight, which is essentially the T-72B's ATGM sight, the thermal channel, which is the part that's new to the vehicle, and last and least, a slightly improved version of the T-72A's gunner's primary sight, which no longer needs the LRF aim point. The day sight has a feature in which the gunner can add or subtract range in 10-meter increments. To take advantage of this, use the plus or minus keys under the day sight optic. The thermal imaging sight has the standard features of other thermal imaging optics. You can change polarity from white hot to black hot and vice versa, and you can adjust contrast and brightness to improve picture clarity or make potential targets stand out more. To choose between contrast or brightness, use the contrast and brightness select button below the plus-minus keys. To increase or decrease contrast or brightness, use the plus-minus keys. The sight has three FOV zoom settings: wide, which is 3 times, narrow, which is 12 times, and digital, which is 24 times.
يلا ابو علاء يلا يا ابو يا رب يا رب يلا يلا.
Gunnery is similar to the other T-72s and also to the M1A2 SCP. The main difference between the B3 and the others is the auto tracker. The auto tracker relies on a functioning TIS, due to the tracking algorithm requiring a contrast difference to be able to identify an object to track. If the TIS is disabled, the auto tracker will also fail to function. Something to keep in mind when using the auto tracker. Due to it relying on contrast difference, if you have multiple contacts that meld into one image, the tracker will aim at the center point of that image. This can lead to unsuccessful engagements. The aim point on the auto tracker can be adjusted by manually inputting commands, thus offsetting the aim point in relation to the center of the contrast difference. The auto tracker can be disabled via the ASC panel. Put the switch into the ASC off position to turn it off. ASC on puts the auto tracker into the on position. As a good rule of thumb, forward is on, rear is off. Another major difference is the gun-launched ATGM. Missile is a beam rider, which means anything with a laser warning system will get the hint that it's being engaged.
Target! Later, 10 o'clock. Later.
The TC is somewhat limited in what he can do, just as with the T-72A and B. However, there is a new feature for the TC. While the T-72B3 doesn't have a hunter-killer capability as with other modern tanks, it does have a GPS extension for the commander which only works on the thermal channel. The Catherine FC, using the Sansa U sight, allows for the commander to override the gunner and to engage targets himself. The method of taking control of the main gun in the T-72B3 is known as double mode. To use double mode, you select ammunition types as you normally would in the T-72, however the Alt key must be used as a modifier. With double mode, gunnery is the same as it is in the gunner's position, including the need to reload using the V key. While the T-72B3 is a definite improvement on the T-72, it's still a 70s era tank at its heart. The result is that the vehicle is still extremely vulnerable to modern and semi-modern anti-armor weapons despite the improved explosive reactive armor on the vehicle. Despite the faults of the vehicle, it's definitely an improvement over previous models of the T-72.